Hey, this is Tyler, and I'm back today to talk about bioregulator peptides. So, in a previous video, I've talked about these, but before we get started, like, subscribe, comment, follow, all of the above. So, in a past episode, like I said, I talked about what are peptides essentially. And in short, they are naturally occurring short chains of amino acids that kind of help regulate or normalize certain functions in the body. And oftentimes they're very targeted with which organs and tissues that they have impact on. So unlike traditional supplements, these peptides are going to work on like a cellular level to restore some of the natural processes in the body. I think I've used this type of analogy before, but with peptides, you can think of them as more like a signaling agent. So if you've got, like, think of a house being built, you've got individuals that are like the worker bees, and think of that stuff as like your vitamins and minerals and enzymes and things of that nature. But you also have like a project manager on site that is providing the direction, and that is your peptide, your signaling agent, telling everybody what to do, how to do it, and how to be effective at it. So think of that as we kind of talk throughout that process. So one thing I wanted to bring up today is the bioregulator peptides. I think originally developed by Cardiogen out of Russia. So I wanted to bring up two in particular that I had recently used, Cardiogen and Libidon. And the reason for that, which I'll jump into, is a little bit targeted more specifically for me and possibly men in general. I've thought about them in the context of like, how can they be useful for individuals? Oftentimes in the research, you see them being used in situations to fix a problem. So my thought process is, being a little bit younger before some of the problems build up, is using these as like a prophylactic aid to prevent, because oftentimes prevention is better than having to deal with something once it's there. Like I said, Cardiogen and Libidon are the two that I wanted to speak to specifically as it relates to possibly men in general, but also maybe me specifically. So Cardiogen, what is that? It's a kind of a heart-based or vascular-based bioregulator peptide that can support the cardiovascular system. Libidon is a one that specifically targets the male prostate and supports the health of the male prostate. And why is that important? So first, let's jump into Cardiogen. Like I said, that one is, you think of it, sounds cardio, so it sounds like the cardiovascular system, and it's going to help support cardiovascular health. So cardiovascular health is one of the leading causes of disease in the US, and I'm sure that because of a lot of the influence and dietary practices that have permeated outside of the Western culture into other parts of the world, I'm sure the cardiovascular, or the presence of and frequency of cardiovascular diseases on the rise in other areas as well. But especially in men over 40, it becomes a very real conversation. So Cardiogen, targeting that heart tissue and that vascular system, is one that I thought was quite important, not just for me, but probably for men in general. So like, how does it work? What does it do? And it's essentially supporting like the heart's normal function by helping regulate some of that heart muscle so the heart muscle cells, and improving their performance in general. So kind of think of it as like a guard, so to speak, you know, protecting the heart. What does that mean, like in the terms of like longevity benefits? And I would say, like, you know, regular use of Cardiogen might help reduce the risk of heart disease, and that's a maybe. You know, as a prophylactic aid, I don't think there's a ton of research out there, and again, this is kind of some speculation on my part. But based on intuitively how peptides work and how other peptides can be used in a prophylactic manner, it makes sense that this could work in that same manner. So they're helping support, like I said, that heart function and the blood vessel health, and helping reduce inflammation, which are going to be big causes or big support needs to help prevent cardiovascular disease. You know, like I said, I like the thought of using it proactively. So, you know, men maybe as young as myself in their mid to late 30s, all the way up until, you know, sometime around 60 years old are possible individuals that can use it prophylactically, and even past that. But as we age more and more, depending on our diet, genetics, and lifestyle, the prevalence or potential for cardiovascular disease to be an issue may start to transition from prophylactic to dealing with an issue that's already there. So, you know, who can benefit? Like I said, you know, men and women for that matter. Cardiovascular disease has a huge effect on women as well. But I think, at least in the context that I'm speaking, I think there's a lot of individuals, and at least in the age group as early as mid-30s and up, can start to really have that conversation in their head, that internal dialogue. Is this something that may add value into my life? Do I want to use this as an opportunity to be able to play with my kids, or have enjoy that longevity and health span with my wife or with my community, or whatever it is that you're passionate about in life? Transitioning that conversation over to Libidon. So like I said earlier, its value is more specific to the prostate. And remember, I said earlier that these things are very tissue and organ specific. So, you know, Cardiogen, vascular system, like I said, it sounds like cardio. So cardiovascular. Libidon sounds like libido. And while I didn't personally notice any effect on libido, we know that there's probably, based on just the implications of the word, there's probably some implications in the infrastructure of male reproductive health there. So prostate health. And me personally, it's near and dear to my heart because I do have a family history of prostate cancer. And for most men, it's not a matter of if, it's a matter of when. So if you live long enough, it's highly likely that prostate cancer is going to be something that you need to be mindful of. So why not look at something like Libidon as a potential low cost, low risk prophylactic aid to help prevent or mitigate that issue. So prostate cancer is one of the most common cancers in men. Increase is, like I said, like not an if/when type thing, because that increase, you see that increase statistically as individuals get older. So like I said, really specific to the prostate tissue. And how does it work? It's essentially helping maintain the healthy function of the prostate, helping maintain any inflammatory response that may be going on in the prostate, regulating those cellular processes in the prostate gland. You know, by keeping that prostate healthy, managing, like I said, the things that might influence BPH, benign prostate hyperplasia, which isn't necessarily implicating that it has a cancerous effect that could cause, you know, a runaway issue with cancer cells, but it's still a problem. You know, you also hear with BPH individuals having to go to the bathroom a lot, and well, I must have had a big prostate since I was little, because I can remember if I drink much water at any time in life, I've had to go to the bathroom constantly. So, but it could help reduce some of those prostate related issues, including cancer and including BPH. So, you know, once you're getting into your late 30s, early 40s, you're typically encouraged, and I take that back. I think it's actually being pushed back now, unless you have a family history. Earlier, it was like, it used to be like right around the age of 40 where you had to go visit Dr. Longfinger to figure out what's going on with the prostate. But as times pass, I think that's moved to age 50, unless you have a family history. So unfortunately, I think next year I'm gonna have to visit Dr. Longfinger. You know, that's a real conversation for people near my age group and older. So I think it's something that at least needs to be respected and thought of as possible aids for your prevention. And regular use of Libidon, and that might just look like maybe 2 to 3 courses, you know, every year, might help maintain the prostate health. So, you know, it might help with that long-term wellness, you know, not just lifespan, but health span as well. So kind of like big takeaways here, like Cardiogen, cardiovascular, think of that for health, for heart health and vascular health. Kind of think of it like a tune-up for your heart, you know, changing out the oil, so to speak. You know, Libidon, sounds like libido. Think of it as male reproductive health, prostate. Going to support the prostate, keep it healthy, and lowering the risk of the cancer issues that could come up as you age. And like I said, for most men, it's not a matter of if with prostate health, it's a matter of when. And again, not everybody, but a large majority of us. So I think that proactive approach really makes a lot of sense. And I think for either one of those, as it relates to Cardiogen or Libidon, it makes a lot of sense when you start getting that age group of mid-30s to later on in life, whether you're using it, like I referred to earlier, prophylactically, or on the back end and having to take care of something that's already happened. So like I said, these peptides are very specific in what they affect. And if you're a female and you're watching this and you're like, I don't have any family history of cardiovascular disease. I live a very healthy life. I've looked at my genetics and I'm not really concerned. And I definitely don't have a prostate. Don't worry, there are tons of different bioregulator peptides out there. Maybe you've got a family history of thyroid related issues. There's ones for that. Maybe you have one where maybe you don't even have an issue and maybe you're not trying to prevent an issue. Maybe you're trying to optimize something like brain health and you might have one like seralutin or endolutin or Pinealon or something like that. There's some really interesting ones out there that may have some value in the context for you. So, you've heard me say it before. I almost I feel bad at times. I almost sound like a shill, but it's because I truly believe in Cosmic. So, you're more than welcome to use my coupon code. It's ACUO_10, ACUO_10. There's also a link in the bio. It'll take you to my landing page, which has cerebrolizin, cortexin, and activegin on it. But you can just surf the rest of their website and use that code as well. But like I said, there's lots of different options out there and you don't have to use Cosmic. Cosmic's just one that I trust. So if you've got one out there you trust more, absolutely go for it. It's just, that's the one that's tried and true over years of individuals testing out products on different longevity forums and things of that nature. So for me, I just like the safety around knowing that that's a good one. And furthermore, the pricing on it's competitive. And I've seen some kind of concerning stories with copycat or counterfeit products coming from other sites. So for me, like I said, I just play it safe. You do you, whatever's best for you. But at the end of the day, if you have additional questions, feel free to reach out. You can throw something down in the comments. You're more than welcome to shoot me a DM. I also do consulting. So if you'd like to go to the website, it's www.acuoperformance.com. There's an apply button there. You just click on that, send it in, and usually within less than 24 hours, I've got a response back to you with scheduling information. But the guys and girls over at Cosmic are usually pretty darn helpful if you don't need to do all the like I just mentioned, consulting and whatnot. If you just shoot them a quick question, a lot of times they'll have some good feedback for you. And there's tons of research that's listed on their site. So you can just weed through that research, read the papers for yourself. A lot of it's been distilled down to you in the description, but if you want to really dig into it, like I said, there are the research papers in there for you if you'd like to read those. So again, shoot a comment below if you've got a question. But until next time, I'll have some more content out soon. Thanks.